I'll do anything I can to play for my country again.
Do it then. What about your start to the game?
It wasn't bad, was it?
Why should an honest answer be a mistake?
How can a modern day manager not have a mobile phone?
Why should he?
Second half about to get underway over in Paris. We're just watching Neymar walking out after the halftime break, getting a pat in the bum from Pochettino, and he's tying his shoelaces, and we'll be underway very shortly. Marquinhos, after 15 minutes, the difference between the sides, and really Man City can count their blessings that it was only 1-0, because PSG, if they're looking for a positive, Man City, PSG dominated that first half in a way they're unlikely to dominate any other 45-minute period of the remaining three in these two legs. So there is that for Man City, because whatever way Pochettino set them up, he got the better of Pep, and City couldn't really keep the ball. They didn't get in behind PSG, bar one Phil Foden chance, one really good Phil Foden chance. Man City struggled to really keep the ball or pin PSG back. It was funny talking to David Myler pre-match. We were pitching this as Man City to dominate possession, and could PSG sting them on the break. Hasn't been that type of game. It's been PSG with lots of the ball. Neymar's been really good. Di Maria, a brilliant cross for the corner for the Marquinhos goal from him. He's been very lively. Mbappe, maybe to a lesser extent, but he's lurking, and you know there's danger coming. Man City just, it's a struggle. We'll see if Pep has tweaked things in this second half. Mark Lawrenson's watching the game. He's going to join us maybe with 20 minutes to go or so and give us his thoughts on it and a few other things besides. So that is where we are in the Champions League this evening. Now, so Paddy Agnew joined us just before coming on air, covers all things Italian football. I wanted to get a sense of the European Super League fallout over there. Obviously Andrea Agnelli to the fore, but just in Italy generally, I was putting it to Paddy before we came on air that Gary Neville very much led the UK charge, that Florentino Perez obviously was standing firm in a very high profile way over in Spain, and that made headlines. I had less of a feel for Italy beyond knowing Agnelli really drove this thing on. So started by asking Paddy, how was this received over in Italy from the fans, from the media, to politicians and beyond?
Well, in terms of the fans, the lead was clearly taken by the Premiership fans, by Chelsea fans in particular, and by comparison to Italian fans. However, they were on the same page as all the English fans, and in terms of the fallout, the person who seems to have come out of it covered in mud is Andrea Agnelli, the president of Juventus, because at the end of the day, it looks to me like the two biggest inspirations in making the break were himself and Perez of Real Madrid, and you know they've ended up covered in excrement, frankly.
And what editorial line did media take?
Oh, the media took the line that this was, the basic principle which annoyed everybody in football is that meritocracy doesn't matter. You can qualify for the Champions League forever. You don't have to qualify for it. And that really did not go down for a second. And the media across the board, not just the big sports dailies, but all the media simply said this is not football. You can't do that, and it was conceived of as correctly conceived of as an Americanata. An Americanata is sort of trying to do things in American style, and they were thinking of NFL and the NBA, etc. But the criticism was very strong, and you know somebody like Agnelli, who has had a very good run at Juventus. In the last decade that he's been in charge of the club, after all, they've won the title 9 times and they've been to 2 Champions League finals, and he would appear to, and they built a terrific state-of-the-art stadium, which makes money, which is worth about 10 million a year to them. So he's conceived of, but he's ruined all that good work with this Champions League Super League fiasco. And at the moment, people are saying, well, look at this season. You start off looking to win your 10th league title in a row. You start off wanting to get into the Champions League final yet again. Here you are, you're certainly not going to win the title. You might even qualify for the Champions League next year, and you round all that off with this Super League fiasco. So his leadership, and indeed his presidency of Juventus, is currently at jeopardy. It's certainly a lot of questions being asked, and Juventus fans not particularly happy with Mr. Agnelli.
And Paddy, the Agnelli family, as I understand it, the Fiat company, that's their that's their
correct
thing. And Agnelli's father, uncle, grandfather have all run Juventus at varying stages. So they are immersed in the club. They have been involved with the club going back decades and decades and decades. Yeah,
there's no question that. I mean, they've the great grandfather of Andrea Agnelli took over got involved in the club. Fiat itself didn't start as a motor car company until if I'm right, the late 1890s. And not long after that, they became involved in the club, and they've been involved in it ever since. And it's been something of a family affair. It's conceived of almost as a family club. Therefore, it's as conceived of as a family club. It's conceived of as a club that has a certain style about it and sets a style, and the style they'd like to think it has some sort of links back to the best Corinthian sport of sporting values, and this Super League clearly doesn't fit into that category, and that, to a certain extent, seems to have been a betrayal of what they love to call the Juventus style. Well, there wasn't anything very stylish about the Super League.
And in terms of their ownership, I was reading up that the family's worth about $3 billion. Now, I suspect that's not hanging around in cash, and it's all very much tied up in assets. So the Agnellis, certainly of late, they're not Roman Abramovich or Sheikh Mansour type figures ploughing millions and millions of their own into the club, or are they?
No, they're not. No, I mean, it's not owned by... strictly speaking, it's not actually, the club's not actually owned by the Agnellis. It's owned by the Exor Financial Holding Group, and the Exor Financial Holding Group, amongst its assets, is the Fiat Auto. Well, they're not called Fiat anymore. The Chrysler Fiat automobiles, but that is Juventus is just another part of another item in their holdings.
Okay.
And therefore it's not. It's not. And throughout its time as a club, Juventus have done a pretty good job of trying to run a tight ship, trying to balance, the books, and things like deciding you got to go and build your own stadium, because a stadium, if you build it right and you work it well, is worth 10 million a year to you. Things like that are just an indication of the extent of which they're probably the best run club in Italy, and they were ahead of the pack in that regard. And they are not into normally they're not into mindless spending of money. However, 3 years ago, they hired Ronaldo. And Ronaldo was a 300 million euro deal. And that was, seriously well above their budget, their normal budget. And that's another the question mark that's being asked about of Andrea Agnelli and his leadership is, you bought this guy you didn't buy him to win the championship. You'd already won that about 7 times before he arrived here. And okay, he's won it 2 more times, but that wasn't what you bought him for. You bought him to win the Champions League. He hasn't won the Champions League. So, I mean, was that money well spent?
So is it right to portray Agnelli as somebody who's been feeling the heat, trying to keep up with the PSGs of the world?
Well, yes. The answer is yes, but he's just been trying to take the club that one step higher and take up that. And that one step is from, continually winning the title in Italy and continually getting into the quarter-final, semi-final, finals of the Champions League, although not this year. But to get to a point to win it, because he hasn't actually won it. I mean, Juventus haven't won the Champions League very often. To put it mildly.
Yeah, to put it mildly as well.
1995 with Lippi and the famous Heysel final with Trapattoni.
So Agnelli is 45 years of age. As I said, his father, his uncle, his grandfather have run the club. He came to prominence aged 34 in 2010, and as you've rightly said, did many good things. The new stadium, he balanced the finances during recession. He made the appointment of Antonio Conte, and they won 9 in a row, 2 Champions League finals as well. As of 2015, on the European Club Association Executive Board. So it was all, on the whole, going pretty well. They're the Wikipedia facts on Agnelli. What kind of personality is he?
Well, Joe, I don't know him myself. I mean, I've been in press conferences and things, but I don't have tea with him on Friday night, so... Yeah.
But I just mean publicly. I mean, you'd have a sense of somebody's public persona. Is he very private? Is he mouthy? Is he somewhere in between? Is he confident?
No. He's confident. He is a guy who's had, obviously, being a young Agnelli, he's had a good education, so he speaks English. He can perform on the international stage very comfortably. I don't think he's a great intellectual. And I think that, for example, it was never suggested that he would take a leading part in the running of the Fiat motor car company. That his cousin Alan Elkin does that,
right.
But John Elkin does that. But what he is somebody who really brought a lot of ambition to the job at Juventus. He's been, it's absolutely in his DNA. He's a passionate Juventus supporter, until the Super League fiasco, he hadn't really put too many feet wrong. I mean, he'd done a very good job.
So is the sense here, if I have, and I'm speaking bluntly, if we have the likes of Kroenke and John Henry and the Glazers as looking for money and more of an American model, if I have Sheikh Mansour and Roman Abramovich as lukewarm on the whole European Super League idea, because frankly the status quo suits them just fine, and if I have Perez and Laporte over in Spain desperate for money, $1 billion in debt almost each respectively, where are the Italians in all this? Are they seeing an increasing gap with Premier League money versus Serie A money? Are they in debt massively? How are they doing financially? What was their motivation for all this?
Okay, they're absolutely in the same camp as Perez and Real Madrid. Given the investment, take Juventus, given the investment he made with Ronaldo, given the fact that he hasn't won the Champions League, Andrea Agnelli looked to that as the Super League as a way out of his current financial problems. Although his problems aren't problems that represent that threaten and jeopardize the club, but he needs more money. There's no doubt about it. To a certain extent, the same applies to Inter. Inter are about to win the title, but there's a certain amount of uncertainty about them at the moment because Suning, the multinational company that owns them, they're Chinese, and therefore there's a deal of uncertainty about how much resources they're going to make available to Conte next year. And indeed, there's a possibility that despite everything that's happened this season, Conte may well even, or there's speculation that he's having difficulty signing on for next season, renewing the contract, because he doesn't feel the Suning company are in a position to guarantee him the sort of squad and the sort of, in other words, buy a few more really big name players with which he could compete successfully in the Champions League. And the same. And as for Milan, well, they're and a lower, although they're the top of the table, they're close to the top of the table. They're the fifth at the moment, but they're not in the same. You couldn't rate them on the same level as Inter and Juventus, but being owned by the Elliott Investments, an American company, the idea of a Super League, the idea of a situation in which you might be able to introduce a cap salary, as the Americans do, that certainly appealed to them, and that was one of the big attractions for them. By the way, and on the subject of Milan, it's interesting about how this whole thing came about, in the sense that somebody like Paolo Maldini, who's one of the great icons of AC Milan, he's now a director of the club. He was absolutely furious, apparently, because nobody told him about it.
Wow. Isn't that extraordinary? Yeah. So AC Milan, owned by the Elliott Management Corporation. I was looking, they're an investment firm, although others would just call them a vulture fund. Frankly, they sweep in and take distressed assets, and presumably a football club like Milan fit the bill. They're based over in Florida, so they didn't even tell Maldini. Wow.
No, he didn't know anything about it, and he put it down to Gazidis. Was it Chelsea he was with before? Arsenal, right. They put it down to him. He blamed, and the relations between Maldini and him are not good. And haven't been for some while, and they're certainly worse than that.
I wouldn't think it's improved. So Inter and the Zhang family, is it? They're worth about 12 billion, so they're obviously not flooding Inter with their own cash either.
No, and the problem there is the Chinese government. If the Chinese government feels they're spending too much money on football in Italy, they're likely to intervene. There are question marks there, and it's not quite clear what will be available next season to Conte.
Okay. And so have the other two come out and said, well, look, it was all Agnelli's fault anyway?
Well, no, they haven't. That wouldn't be fair. I mean, they went along with it. They got cold feet very quickly.
Did they?
Agnelli hung in there a bit longer. But, I mean, no, they went into it with their eyes open. They couldn't possibly claim that they were led into it by Agnelli. Yeah,
there is a sense the TV money situation is, well, not crashing, but maybe curdling a touch and not growing exponentially. What about Serie A money?
Well, Serie A have just signed a new deal with, off the top of my head, I can't even quote the figure to you, but it's a good deal with DAZN. It used to be basically a deal with Sky Italia. It's now DAZN's ball, and they're all more or less pleased with it. Although there were a lot of grumbling amongst the other clubs about the division of funds. But that's a 3-year deal, and looks good. They're
happy enough.
Yeah.
Okay, very interesting. Well, Agnelli's position, there were rumours when this thing collapsed last Tuesday that he was going to resign or that he was under massive pressure, and then Juventus came out to say that was not the case and things were fine. Have there been any more of those rumblings that Agnelli could be under pressure at Juve, or is he too powerful there and he'll just write this out?
It's the latter of those two, I would think. I think he will write it out, but the rumblings are still ongoing. There's no question of that.
Right.
A lot of people think he made a big rumour and he should pay for it.
Okay. Just matters on the field. Be interesting to get your take before I let you go, Paddy. The table, as you said, Inter heading towards the title there on 79 points. Atalanta are second on 68, and then we have Napoli, Juve, and Milan all on 66 points. So this would go down as a desperately disappointing season for Juventus. How much pressure is Andrea Pirlo under now suddenly?
Well, to be fair, when you're a Juventus coach, you're always under pressure. But he's certainly under more pressure now than he's been at any time. And it's a bit unthinkable to the Juventus fans that they end up the season not so much having failed to get to the Champions League final, but having failed to qualify for next season's Champions League. He desperately needs to get it right in that regard. But we're 33 games played, so another 5 to go. He's got time to make sure that they get through. And as this table stands at the moment, the order is, as you just read out, Inter, Atalanta, Napoli and Juventus. And I think those 4, that's how it will finish. Those 4 will qualify for the Champions League. And at the moment, they are the three best teams at the moment in Italy are Inter, Atalanta, and Napoli. They're 1, 2, and 3. And Juventus, you could probably sort of add them on for that. I don't think AC Milan. I think AC Milan have been a bit flattered. Remember, they led the championship here for quite a long way. They were still leading at Christmas. And to some extent, they were flattered by the whole series of circumstances that left them there. And it's beginning to show now. I mean, their last 2 results were, 2-1 home defeat to Sassuolo, 3-0 away defeat to Lazio. So they're beginning to crack a bit, and I don't see them being in the Champions League next season. Lazio are the only, they're not in the 6th position at the moment. They're in 61 points, but they've got a game in hand. They could still get themselves back into the Champions League race, and they've come up with some interesting results in the last few games. Beat Benevento 5-2. That's not very surprising. But the other night they beat Milan 3-0 and beat them very roundly. So it's going to be the only item of excitement in the Serie A contest from here to the finish is going to be the battle for the Champions League places.
Yeah. And what's been the big fall off in Juventus on the pitch? What's happening?
Yeah, that's a good question. One of the questions are obviously being asked about Ronaldo, which is not really fair because he's the leading goal scorer in Serie A and he's leading goal scorer for the team, obviously. I think the problems, I'm sure football coaches would say, well, he hasn't got the right sort of figure in midfield. He hasn't got a big target man, the number 9 role. He hasn't got this or he hasn't got that. But I think one of the things that really ruined the season for Juventus is fairly simple. When they lost, when they got themselves eliminated from the Champions League by Porto, they just haven't recovered from that. It was, such a blow to lose to a side that they could and should have beaten comfortably. But I mean, if you start off a 2-leg tie by, giving the ball to the opposition centre forward in the 6-yard line in the first minute of the game, he scores a goal. It's not a good start, and you're not going to qualify.
Yeah, well, that's true. And actually, one just aside, I do want to get one last thought from you on Roma and Manchester United tomorrow. But on Juventus, you could give us a sense of Italian football culture. Are Juventus supported by fans right around Italy, given they're the most successful and the most dominant? Is it a bit like Manchester United fans with big followings in London and elsewhere? Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. If Juventus go to play a game against, particularly the southern Italian teams, if they go to play a game against Palermo, not that Palermo in the first division now, but if they go to play games against Palermo, they're probably more Juventus Palermo fans, but Palermo citizens. More of them go to the game with a Juventus fan than go to with the Juventus shirt on than go there with a Palermo shirt on.
Right. And on Palermo radio, you have people phoning in saying this is a disgrace. Support your own team.
Yeah, you do. But you have that all up and down the country. Everywhere they go, there's always a strong component of local fans who support Juventus.
Okay. And is it the same for the Milan clubs, or are Juventus a bit special in that regard?
No. They're just handful, isolated exceptions for the other clubs. But no, Juventus are the only one who do that. Okay,
interesting. So Manchester United, Roma tomorrow in the Europa League semi-finals. Roma in very poor form. They have one victory, I see, in their last 7 games. They're 7th in Serie A. They're 11 points off a Champions League place. Dzeko hasn't scored in about 12 Serie A matches. So is it presumptuous to say Manchester United should be fine here?
No. It's realistic. What worries me is I've seen some terrible Roma performances in Europe. Remember, they got beaten. They managed to pick up 7-1 defeats against Manchester United and Bayern Munich in the Champions League. So I'm just hoping we won't see performances like that. The only thing I can say about they were very disappointing on Sunday night. And the only thing I can say about that defeat to Cagliari, right? Is that a 3-2 defeat? Is that Fonseca, the Roma coach, rested a number of his first choice players because of the United tie, obviously, and I hope they're not as bad as they looked against Cagliari.
Okay, well, we'll find out tomorrow. Paddy Agnew, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
There you are, Paddy Agnew speaking to us this evening about the situation over in Italy. The situation in Paris has all turned around. Goal as I speak. Man City are suddenly 2-1 up. Ho. Wow. Riyad Mahrez with a free kick. When I threw to Paddy Agnew, Man City were 1-0 down and PSG had been dominant in that first half. They really had been. But just, I guess, 5-10 minutes into that second half, Man City started to get a grip on it. Kevin De Bruyne scored in the 64th minute. Zinchenko was on for Cancelo. That was the substitution Guardiola made. And De Bruyne, it was from a corner really, and the ball was played short and worked out to the other side of the pitch, near side as the camera looked at the action. And De Bruyne, really, he just swung in across. It was one of those in-swingers on the angle, and nobody got a touch on it, but Navas in the goal couldn't really move because he was working under the fair enough assumption that someone was going to get a header to it, and then you know yourself, bounces harmlessly into the far corner of the net. So that was how Man City got back into it. And now, 72 minutes in the clock, just literally as you came back to me there, Mahrez puts the ball in the net. Based on the replay, the PSG wall cracks wide open and a ball which should have just rebounded off bodies goes straight through and into the corner. Not even that much in the corner because it was pretty centrally just smacked at the wall. Inexplicably the wall breaks, and they're two, I suppose you'd have to say, soft goals. PSG will feel they're soft anyway. De Bruyne is one, like I said, just one of those frustrating ones which is a cross and ends up bouncing into the far corner and then wall spreading. I'm not really sure what they were at. So there we are. This tie has turned around suddenly. 72 minutes on the clock, and we'll see what the PSG response is. Mark Lawrenson has been watching this game. We'll talk to him in a second. Football on Off the Ball is with thanks to Paddy Power. For information on responsible gambling, visit gamblingcare.ie. We'll check in with Mark Lawrenson next. Well, as we know by now, the Premier League season 2018-19 reaches its conclusion this afternoon. Manchester City are in Brighton. Liverpool will host Wolves. Now, we've been saying for about 13 games, there's bound to be a slip-up somewhere along the way. It's got to happen today.
Alexander-Arnold, first-time ball, 1-2 with Henderson. Gets the cross in low. There for Mane! The pressure valve is released around Anfield. Liverpool are in front. And yet again, it's Alexander-Arnold who's the creator.
Man City just haven't found that breakthrough yet. I'm just looking to my right here, Nathan, and seeing the Man City fans who've travelled down here. Imagine they're probably full of nerves and tension, especially after that Sadio Mane goal went in.
27 minutes gone. There has been a goal.
That man, Joe Malloy, it's Glenn Murray at the near post across the corner, I should say, from Pascal Gross up at the near post. Glenn Murray getting up past over Zinchenko. But incredible scenes here. 26 minutes on the clock. We've got Sergio Aguero just scored an equaliser. Sergio Aguero put in. He's just on the edge of the 6-yard box. Fires it home with his left foot into the bottom corner.
Let's go to the Amex. There's been another goal, Steve-O.
Swung in there, Aymeric Laporte running off around the penalty spot area, just up into the 6-yard box and slamming the ball in with his head. Right into the bottom corner. Matt Ryan didn't have a chance.
Let's go to the Amex because there's been another goal, Steve-O.
Yes, indeed. Riyad Mahrez, after 64 minutes, has given Manchester City a 3-1 lead here.
Back to the Amex, another goal, Steve-O.
Yes, 73 minutes on the clock, Nathan. It's 4-1 now to Manchester City.
Alexander-Arnold through to Salah, but it's headed in right behind him by Sadio Mane. And the final whistle goes. It's not to be for Liverpool, but I think the celebrations are well underway at the Amex, Stephen.
Yeah, they sure are. The full-time whistle went just exactly at the same time. What a season. What a season it's been for Manchester City. Just incredible.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power. Ready for your next big move? The trip from the fridge to the couch. Gamble responsibly. Gamblingcare.ie. Let's take a mindful moment on News Talk.
I'm Keith Barry. Creative visualization is a fantastic way to attain mind mastery. Simply close your eyes and visualize the moment in your life when you are happiest. See it clearly in your mind's eye. Then squeeze the first two fingers and thumb of one of your hands together. This will act as an anchor, and anytime you want to trigger that memory and those feelings, simply squeeze the first two fingers and thumb together again, and that will release the feel-good hormones into your body.
Another mindful moment from News Talk.
Some people have asked us how far the Skoda service team will go. Well, our technicians go into the belly of the engine, the deep depths where no one has ever gone before, dodging sparks by the skin of their teeth. They check and tighten, fill and change. And with 12 months free roadside assistance, they'll journey to rescue you no matter where you are. Book a Skoda service now at skodaservice.ie.
Today, you can alleviate stress on your company finances and stress on the electricity grid by participating in demand response with NLX. By adjusting your energy usage for just a few hours per year, your business could receive a welcome revenue boost. And we could all benefit from a more sustainable future. With NLX, the power really is in your hands. To find out more, visit demandresponse.ie.
Guaranteed Irish has been around for almost 50 years and has always been about doing the right thing. Today, business members work hard to support jobs, keep our communities alive and help the Irish economy recover. Guaranteed Irish supports 1,500 businesses, from Indigenous SMEs to locally based multinationals, across various sectors, employing over 100,000 people across Ireland. So, look out for the G and know you're playing your part in Ireland's recovery. GuaranteedIrish.ie. Altogether better.
Having a flutter? Top tip, QuinBet.com. Ireland's newest online sportsbook and casino. For all your horse racing, football, casino and more, QuinBet has you covered. With live in-play markets on mobile, PC and app. QuinBet.com. Terms and conditions apply. Gamble responsibly. Visit gambleaware.ie.
At Elevon, we help customers all over Ireland with payment solutions. But as more businesses reopen, we want to do more to help. So now, Elevon is offering free monthly rental on Point Smart Payment terminals, helping you reduce costs and get paid quickly. Get on Point and talk to our team in Arklow, or visit elevon.ie. T's and C's apply. Elevon Financial Services, trading as Elevon Merchant Services, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Over 800,000 people tune into News Talk every week. They tune in to listen. They're engaged, interested, maybe even interested in your business. Whether you're selling to customers, to businesses, selling online, or getting ready to reopen, your next customer could be listening right now. If you'd like to talk to them, talk to us. Email advertising@newstalk.com.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power. Champions League nights on Off the Ball. Bigger than Zlatan's Eco. Gamble responsibly. Gamblingcare.ie.
Now you're welcome back. So it's all happening over in Paris. It's still Man City 2, PSG 1. Obviously, if you're just tuning in, PSG 1-0 up at the break. They were dominant in that first half. PSG, they really were. And Marquinhos scored off a corner, glancing header, City zonal marking. Marquinhos made a run towards the front post, glancing header, and they were 1-0 up, and really good value for 1-0. And then second half, well, City have just got a hold of it and kept the ball better and slowly but surely turned this game. De Bruyne with a cross which bounced harmlessly into the far corner, as they often do. Keeper was rooted, waiting for somebody to get a head on it, and Ball went into the net. That was on 64 minutes. And then just before the break, as I mentioned to you, Riyad Mahrez with a free. Walls seemed to split, not sure why exactly, and ball bounces into the net, and suddenly Man City are 2-1 up. And now, just as you came back to me, PSG have been reduced to 10 men. Idrissa Gueye with a shocking challenge, really, on Gundogan. It was a straight red, it was late, it was high, it was... he's almost raked his studs down Gundogan's Achilles, and referee didn't even go to VAR, didn't need to check it, straight red. So it's all turned around this game in quite an extraordinary way. Last half an hour, Man City have had 58% possession. So just in the last 30 minutes, 58% possession. That was not the case in the first half. Very happy to say Mark Lawrenson has been watching the game. He's with us. Hi, Mark.
Hi, you okay?
Yeah, very well. So, look, this has been, for people who haven't seen it and they're out and about, it's been a bloody good watch, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a good watch because it's just been really strange as well. I mean, your summing up was perfect, really. PSG looked very much in control, real threat as well first half. But if you look at all the 3 goals so far, all should really have been avoided. But listen, I suppose that's something to do with the nerves and the tension. City looked ordinary, false number 9 and all that, which is good. But if you're going to play that way, you've got to have the ball and lots of it, which obviously, which kind of Guardiola sorted out at half-time into so far as obviously City had pushed on and started to have the ball, etc. But PSG goalkeeper, discuss.
Yeah. Couldn't really be happy with either of them. I mean, it's not the first time we've seen, like the De Bruyne one, it's not the first time we've seen a cross and he's waiting for somebody to get a head on it and then it suddenly bounces in. They're tricky, I suppose, but they look terrible.
Yeah, no, they do look terrible. The thing is, he doesn't move his feet. So, at least be on the balls of your feet, because we've seen them. We know what happens, and you just sort of got to be ready for every sort of opportunity, and well, maybe opportunity is the wrong word, but every eventuality. And he just sort of wasn't. He was almost kind of bewitched the way that the ball came in. But great for City. I mean, if they could go and pinch a third one now, 3 away goals, wow, what an advantage that would be.
I didn't see the free kick as well. I'm right in saying the wall split, am I?
Wall was rubbish. Wall was... Dion Dublin, he listened to it as well on the radio just to double check, and he's doing it for Radio 5. He does homes under the hammer. He's seen far better walls than the one that PSG put up.
Isn't it amazing? All the preparation, all the clipboards, all the perfectionism which goes on, and then the wall does that.
Well, yeah, but that be someone's fault. It might even again be the goalkeeper. So listen. It's just good news for City. Imagine if it had been the other way around. But look, I mean, the way that PSG are, you just never ever know them. If they get away with a 2-1, they would be capable of going to win at City 2-0. Not that I think they would, because I think City would always score, but it could be very much in the balance still at 2-1, although advantage to City.
PSG were really good in that first half, weren't they?
Yeah. Well, they kind of sat back a little bit and... they've got, as everybody knows, the pace of Neymar and Mbappe, etc., is just frightening. And, they used it to their advantage in the first half without really creating too many really outstanding opportunities. But there was always that threat. And I think it's like anything. I mean, it's obviously Champions League semi-final. It's a massive deal. It's the game you never, ever, ever want to lose because you just feel so pathetic. Because you played so many games to get there, and you get knocked out. So City just started slowly, just didn't really have enough of the ball, and PSG looked a really good side. And you'd have to say the second half is completely role reversal.
Yeah, it's amazing. Come here, I could be way off here, but I had a thought this evening I haven't really had before, and maybe it's just because the level of the game was so high, and PSG were putting Man City under a lot of pressure, even when City were in possession. I looked at Rodri, and I'd never really thought this before. He looked almost cumbersome on the ball, or just half a beat too slow on the ball.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. He's just... It's happened quite a bit lately with him, where the game looks a little bit too quick for him, and he just can't kind of keep up with it. It's a bit. Thiago's a bit like that at Liverpool. That's why he makes so many fouls. But yeah, he looks. He could be just a little bit leggy because they played an awful amount of games, as everybody knows, plus the travel, etc. But yeah, he's certainly not quite at it. And I think also, when you feel that way, and then you see somebody whizzing past you called Mbappe, it's like, oh, time to call the police.
Yeah, and to be honest, I even meant on the ball, just getting the ball and moving it on,
Nerves.
just maybe it is half a beat too slow. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, it's a nerve. It's like doesn't matter if you're a world class player. If these, as I say, the semi-finals, if you start poorly, it's very, very difficult to lift yourself, and you always feel it's like it's always your fault. So yeah, it'll be nerves as much as anything. Even these lads at their level.
Right. I suppose you do need a certain carefree attitude to play your zippiest football, don't you?
Yeah, because obviously you want to try and get that freedom, and you want to have as minimal amount of touches as possible, especially if you've got loads of pace, because once you start moving the ball around and, the team that you're playing against are suddenly thinking, crikey, we're not going to get the ball here, it makes a massive difference.
We're into the last 3-4 minutes here. If you're just tuning in, it's Man City 2, PSG 1. Mark Lawrenson on the line with us. Briefly, could I get your thoughts on last night? Timo Werner, at what point does the jury stop being out, and does the jury start saying, yeah, this is not a good verdict for you, Timo? He's 25, he's not a kid who's suddenly pitched up. It's these are a couple of bad misses in succession now after a season of not doing much. What are your thoughts on Werner?
The thing is, he's got loads of ability and pace, hasn't he? That's the big thing. Look, it's always one of those with players like that. You can sign players who played in different leagues and different countries, and some within 10 minutes of the first training session you just go, wow, and they feel completely at home, etc. And some don't. I mean, the fact he's really struggled to score goals has obviously completely knocked his confidence. I mean, strikers will tell you the big thing is if that's the case, is just to always be in those positions. But I mean, they had an opportunity last night, Chelsea, of actually stretching that game and scoring another goal at least, which they would have put them very much in the driving seat. And I think what's happened with him as well is that Tuchel seems to me to be, with the players that he really likes, it's an arm round the shoulder, and I think he's very much getting that at the moment. Whether he plays in the return leg, we'll wait and see.
Does he look a natural finisher to you?
No, he doesn't. And I think all the top strikers will tell you once you start thinking about it, it's not happening. I don't know whether I said to you on this programme before. I remember Shearer had quite a barren spell at Newcastle when Bobby Robson, God love him, was in charge. And Shearer said he just gave me the best advice ever. And he said he showed me parts of the games and everything that I played in. And he kept saying to me, "Where are you, Al? Where are you, on the pitch?" And he went, "Well, I'm just kind of a bit over there to the left, and I've just dropped short here." And he just went, "You're a centre forward." He said, "Get in the penalty area. You're never going to score on a regular basis from out there." And that's all it took. So, it's great, simple advice, isn't it?
Yeah. So the other player who I wanted to ask you about last night, N'Golo Kante, was pretty extraordinary, wasn't he?
Yeah. It is. I think it was Martin Keown who was doing a commentary the other week, and he said, and that straight away I thought, he just said it's like having 1.5 players.
It's how does he cover the ground the way he does? It's extraordinary.
Yeah, I mean, he's if you watch him run, his feet actually hardly ever touch the ground. Yeah. He kind of skips over it. I mean, when he first burst on the scene at Leicester, we all thought, wow. And then thought, you know what, maybe just one season where everything goes right for you. But of course, he's gone on and on. And, he's just as well such an inspiration in that team. He just gets on with it, which I love. And it's never a problem. He makes mistakes, but he picks himself up. And he just does an absolute fabulous job. He must be great to play with. People like Jorginho and that must be going, oh, yeah, pick and goal every week, because he makes my job really easy.
He's a good footballer as well, though.
Yeah, and he sees things. He sees things. So that's also, and his attitude is just really, really good. I mean, he had a spell in this season where he was injured quite a lot, and I was almost kind of thinking, it doesn't look like he's that bothered about getting back in this team. And sometimes, with players, they kind of decide 2, 3, 4 seasons somewhere, you know what, last move, big one, leave this club, go to another one, get a bag full of money. And I was a little bit worried that he might have been one of them, but I got that spectacularly wrong. He obviously was injured, and he's just come back. But I think also, because of the way he played, he needs to be absolutely, totally 100% fit. He cannot be the same influence without being super fit.
Yeah. No, it's true. And look, there was a point as well early in the season, and I fully acknowledge, who am I to say anything about Frank Lampard? But there was a time where, like, Lampard had him out in the right wing, and you just thought, this is not right. No,
well, I think, in fairness to Frank, I think he ended up trying to accommodate everybody, and it always worried me that he didn't take any senior person with him, just somebody who would. He's got Jody Morris, who's supposed to be a really good coach, which is fine and everything, but just somebody who, voice of reason, would say to Frank, like, well, why don't you just pick your best players for the next 5 games, regardless of who we play, and then let's see if they are your best players and they are your best team. And I always obviously refer to Shankly when stuff like this, and the journals will say, like, what's the team, Bill? And they say, same team as last year. Right, and that was a thing, that I remember having a conversation with dear old Bob Paisley as well, and we were talking about different other stuff. We never ever really talked tactics, but it just came up about, I think we were watching the telly somewhere in a hotel before a game, and the lads were saying, oh, should have done this, should have done that, and should have done whatever. And Bob Paisley just said, well, he said, if you think about it, he said, if you don't pick your best team and you get beat, you are then always wondering, why on earth did I do that? He said, but if you pick your best team and you get beat, then you know, obviously, that the team wasn't good enough. And it's a simple thing, isn't it?
Yeah, sometimes logic is brutally,
absolutely.
painfully simple. By the way, Mason Mount's more than rising to the levels, isn't he?
Oh, he's a player, isn't he?
Yeah, because people were saying, that's the end of Mason when Tuchel comes in. Far from it.
Yeah, well, listen, coaches like Tuchel aren't daft, are they? And the other thing about him, Tuchel will have watched all the VTs of all the games, and there will still be people around at Chelsea who, when asked their opinion, would have been, we think this fella's going to be a real player. So you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, do you, just because you've taken over the job?
No, well, he's certainly living up to the billing.
Doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's like the kid at Leicester, Maddison, as well, who's obviously got a bit of an edge to him, but he can play, he sees things as well.
They've so many players in that neck of the woods now, between Grealish and Foden and Mount and probably, who else am I forgetting that probably has to play? Jadon Sancho's knocking around. It's incredible.
Game changers.
Incredible. Like, I don't know who they're leaving out, but all of those. But someone's going to be sitting on the bench at the Euros. Anyway.
Well, they'll mess it up anyway. That's what they do.
That's the fun of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Listen,
absolutely.
We'll let you go. Thanks so much for checking in. Give us your thoughts on the game. Appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Okay, thank you. Mark Lawrenson. We're into added time now. PSG 1, Man City 2.
Forget Arsenal. I'll come on to them in a minute because they're a disgrace. Mustafi's got to be stronger than that. It's pathetic defending. And that second goal, a set piece, no concentration, no marking at the edge of the box. Really is bad. He's walking. Xhaka's walking. Ozil walking. They're walking. Don't walk at Wembley. Don't walk on a football pitch. Run. Absolute disgrace they are. They're an absolute disgrace. Walking on a football pitch at Wembley, giving up, spineless. The team have shown them nothing. They have to say that football's been bad. The passing of the ball's been bad. I've not really liked the defending for a long time. I've not really liked the leadership, the character for a long time, and the spirit on the pitch. But you've always liked the football. I don't even like the football anymore. Arsenal have just failed. Full stop.
Walk! Are you talking to me? Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power. Fake crowd noise? The Emirates never sounded so good. Gamble responsibly. Gamblingcare.ie.
Whether you're looking for a mortgage or you need to move your mortgage, you want to be certain that you're making the right choice. You want good value, a quick and easy application process, and a bank that's going to be with you all the way. In other words, a mortgage you'll be right at home with. Talk to a Bank of Ireland mobile mortgage manager and find out how we can help you make the right move. Search Bank of Ireland mobile mortgage manager. Bank of Ireland. Begin. Lending criteria, terms and conditions apply. Over 18s only. Mortgage approval subject to assessment of suitability and affordability. Bank of Ireland Mortgage Bank, trading as Bank of Ireland Mortgages, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
At Tesco, we've got value with bank holidays in mind, like our Fire Pit barbecue range, any 3 for €10. And stock the goodie box with Cadbury Dairy Milk Whole Nut Chocolate Bar, 120 gram, or Tato Skips 105 gram, and more, 5 for €5. Or choose from our many offers on wine, like 75cl iHeart Pinot Grigio, Los Cardos Malbec, or Gallo Sauvignon Blanc, only €7 each. Tesco. Every little helps. Enjoy alcohol responsibly.
Peter's TV was... not made for a house full of people with different tastes and shows, that's for sure. So, he sent it to the Virgin Media Wellness Retreat for TVs, where it got hooked up to the Virgin TV 360 box. It came back
totally rejuvenated. Now all the housemates have their own personal profiles, so we don't get mixed up with each other's shows, you know. It's all about boundaries.
It sure is, Peter. See what else the Virgin TV 360 box can do for your TV. Visit virginmedia.ie. Bring on amazing.
Subject to availability. T's and C's apply.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power. Only the cream of the crop pick up Champions League medals. Jonathan Greening's got one. Gamble responsibly. Gamblingcare.ie.
Yeah, so we are at full time in PSG or in Paris rather. It's finished. PSG 1, Manchester City 2. That is a brilliant performance by Man City. The way they turned that game around. It was looking very worrying for them in the first half, and whatever Pep did, he brought on Zinchenko. I don't think that changed the game dramatically, but whatever message was given at the break or whatever little minor tweaks they made a huge difference, and they started getting more of the ball. 58% possession in the last 40 minutes of that game. They were further up the field, and then suddenly all their nippy small little number 10s started running the game for them, and they got joy, and PSG kind of ran out of ideas in the end. It was amazing. So that's a brilliant evening for Man City. They are 2-1 up going into the second leg in Manchester. We're pretty much done this evening. The lads on OTB AM will be talking about that game, as you can imagine, first thing tomorrow morning, 7:30 on all our social channels. Then tomorrow evening, Nathan in the hot seat here on Off the Ball, and he'll be talking to Paul Gainey, the Kerry footballer. Owen Doyle at Bolton, he's in great form this season, he'll be on the show, and Irish cricketer Celeste Rack as well. And of course, Mr. John Giles, I'm sure, talking about the Champions League week that was. Football on Off the Ball, with thanks to Paddy Power. For information on responsible gambling, visit gamblingcare.ie. You can podcast all of tonight's show, including Wednesday Night Rugby with Andy Dunn and Rory O'Connor, in all the usual places. Good luck.